That's good. And I assume that there's people who join online. So welcome to all of those who are online too. So before we start, shall we sit for a moment in silence? And the question I'm going to ask you to think about is the topic today is from resilience in the midst of when adversity, that's the word, resilience in the middle of adversity. So think about some of the adversities that have come to you in your life, right? You're here, you understand the word adversities? Yeah, everyone does. Okay. And that's why you're here. How have you moved from adversity to resilience? So not normally we ask you to think about something positive, but today I'm just going to ask you to think about some of the adversities that may have come in your life, struggles, difficulties, challenges, crises, whatever other word you might want to use for that. Is that okay? Just think about them. From the moment you were young enough to know what was going on around you in your life to the present day. Okay, let's not dwell on it too much. Everyone, raise your hands if you've thought of some adversities or challenges or crises that have come in your life, right? No? No, you're raising your hands just because everyone else is? Have you lost someone that you really loved a lot? Have we have so many crises these days in the world, whether it's losing your job or, losing money or not knowing how, everything is becoming so expensive and how are we going to pay for these kind of things. They're all little things, but they are all still important, right? Someone was telling me yesterday they had been scammed, and I was thinking, okay, someone I know closely now scammed, and they, what is it? And the bank is refusing to pay them the money back. So again, another adversity. So it's not uncommon anymore to have an adversity, one or more adversities in our lives. I look back and I think my recent adversity or challenge that came in my life was when mum, and I'd been, she suddenly flew away, passed on, and that was quite a bit of a challenge for me. And so, yes, we have some big and small adversities in our life. So what does it feel like? What does it feel like to be, we need to be resilient, right? When we have all of these challenges coming to us, that's what everyone says, be resilient. So what does it mean not to be resilient? Let's start off with that. How does it feel? How does one look? Maybe you're not looking at yourself, but you're looking at someone else and you're seeing that they're struggling. What does that look like? How do they look? What is happening to them? What You must have seen this. You must have had some experience of this. So what is it? How do they look? They're suffering. They're not accepting the situation. They're suffering. They're struggling. Absolutely. What else? What are the signs that someone is not resilient? Eh, huh? Being negative? So negative in what way? Dwelling on all the negative things. Yeah, absolutely. Dwelling on negativity. So what else? What are some of the signs of someone who is not resilient? And the reason is it's good to know. And so then I can spot in myself, am I being resilient or am I, being negative? Am I struggling? Because if I'm not resilient, what will happen? So let's do three more signs of someone who's not resilient. They're not accepting the situation. They're negative. They quit, right? So they give up. Yeah, they give up. And this is why sometimes, you hear a lot about, suicides. They just give up on life. They quit. They just enough. And then they may also quit, if it's a job, they may quit the job. If it's a relationship, they may quit the relationship, but lots of quitting. Yeah, they give up, they can't manage, walk away. Addictions, substance abuse, absolutely, absolutely. One more, they blame others, right? Yeah. And so all of these things we'll talk about in a minute. So these are the signs of someone who may not be resilient. Yeah. And another way of seeing it maybe is it's like they're so stuck, they're so rigid, right? And if you think about anything that is rigid, and I think about like even like a rubber band, which, you've put in the freezer or it's gone old, it becomes really stuck. And if you pull it even a little bit, it will snap and break. So that's your quitting, that's your giving up, that's your breaking, right? And it's just rigid. It's just one track thinking. Focus, just total focus on negativity, total focus on the things that will be wrong. And what about in contrast? An example of someone who is resilient. What will that look like? What does that look like? Opposites of what we've talked about, but maybe use in other words. They will find solutions. So maybe, and what is it that makes them find the solutions? It's because they're open, right? They are not just focused on that negativity. It's like they're allowing themselves to be open, right? So they will find the solutions. What else? They keep going. So they accept, they keep going one little step at a time, just keep on moving, keep on moving. One of the things that I really love for myself is that when I'm feeling stuck, I actually go for a walk. And that movement of moving forward really helps me to unblock what's going on in my mind. What else? They're flexible, right? They're flexible, they're open. They're not going to, they will be accepting, so they will reminds me of the willow tree, when the storm comes, and the palm tree, right? So you have those palm trees by the seaside, and they sort of are flexible. So when the storm comes, they don't break, they just sway in the direction of the wind. But if you have like the oak tree there, which is so firm and so strong that it's rigid, and so it falls and it breaks. And so in our thinking, not accepting, really accepting the situation. This is what it is. I can't change the situation. What else? One last one. What is the sign of someone who is resilient? We've not talked about this. They forgive, but we'll come to that in a minute. What is another sign? Yes, they'll take responsibility, they'll forgive, but there's one more that I'm looking for. They will be content, and there'll be that happiness. And I'm not saying that um, you're happy because someone has passed away and you still stay happy, but it's like that acceptance and that life going on, they'll still maintain some aspect of happiness inside, and that allows them to keep going. So you can see a very big contrast between someone who is resilient and not resilient, and someone who's resilient. And so we have to look at ourselves, right? We're here because we want to be resilient. And so if I am feeling any of those, then I know I'm not being resilient. And things will start going wrong within. And it's those little steps, and suddenly it gets worse and worse and worse. And on the other side, if I take the small steps, things start looking better, right? So it's a spectrum, right? It's not what you call yes or no. I think it's like a whole spectrum when a situation comes, and I just need to see where am I, and what can I do to shift in the right direction. So I'm going to talk about maybe 3 strategies or 3 things to think about, and then we can think about more things. So firstly, when situations come, and let's even think about big situations, losing someone, whether it's they pass away, or the relationship breaks down, or something happens. One of the biggest things is we start sort of blaming ourselves, or we start sort of asking all of these questions about why is it happening to me. It's about that acceptance, isn't it? It's like accepting that this is really, it just does happen. Yes, we know that spirituality says that there is no such thing as a coincidence. And so spirituality says that there's no such thing as a coincidence. You've heard that, right? Because yes, the law of karma, right? Whatever we do, there's a repercussion, a positive or a negative, there's a repercussion. So whatever is happening to me is because of a lot of things that have gone on in this life, previous lives. And so this has brought me to where I am. And so, it's happening, but that's okay. One of the things that I have really I read somewhere a long time ago, and it has always stayed with me, is that the universe will only give us what we can deal with. And, the strength that we have to deal with it. It will not give us anything that we don't have the strength to deal with. And so really remembering that and understanding I can get through this. And it's come for me to learn a lesson. In our spiritual teachings, one of the things, there's two Hindi words that rhyme and they come in the teaching, and it is tufan, which is the storm, and tofa, which is a gift. And so it's changing the storm into a gift by understanding what I'm getting and learning from this situation. And so not ever sort of saying, why me? And maybe even looking at it in terms of what are the things that I am grateful for this situation teaching me, showing me. So, for example, some of the things that I used to think about when Mum passed away was, I am so fortunate. I've had so much time with her. I'm so fortunate. I've learned so much from her. And, another thing we were all very, very glad about was that she didn't have any prolonged, long illness or suffering. It all happened in a very short time. And yet there was time for her to say goodbye to everyone. So it's things like that. If we think about other storms, think about, I have food, I have shelter, I have all of these things, clothes. There's so many people who don't have all of that. So how many of you make a gratitude list or think about 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for, maybe even 10 things that you're grateful for that day, today, before you go to sleep? How many of you do that? On and off, on and off. Okay. Anyone else ever done that? You do it regularly or just on and off? Okay. And how did you feel when you were? Right. Yeah. So having being grateful is so important, and they've done studies on this, and they've said that people who regularly every day, even just are grateful for the things, think about 3 to 10 things that you're grateful for, their mental health is so much better and they're so much more happier. And so I sort of put a challenge out to you and say, it's just nearly the beginning of September, well, nearly first week of September, until the end of this year, every day before you go to bed, write down 10 things that you're grateful for that day. See the difference it makes to your life. Yeah. So that's one of the things is, first of all, not to blame myself, not to make myself a victim. And second of all, to think about the things that I'm grateful for, to change my perspective. I am grateful for this. Another thing and really important aspect is asking myself the question, is this going to help me or is this going to harm me? Right? It's so easy to think about things and not sort of and go down the spiral of negative thinking, like you were saying. So, for example, I was very much aware that if I started reminiscing and thinking about Mum and all the things, I miss about her, or looking at the photos um, wasn't helping. All it did was make me feel. And so, yes, okay, done it. Now I don't need to do that because it doesn't. And looking at the photos is, just bringing it all back again. Um, Also, it's like think about um, your words, your actions. We talked about addictions and, doing whatever kind of addiction it might be. Is this going to help me or is it going to harm me? Very important questions. Whether think about anything you're doing, um, whether you're worried. So, resilience in a sense in terms of stress too, right? The stress levels increase. So, if I'm um, wanting to apply for a job and I've got an interview, or if I am, some exam or test I need to pass, all of that is going to bring stress and anxiety. Ask yourself, as you're progressing towards that, is this going, are my thoughts or my words or my deeds, what I'm doing, is it going to help me or is it going to harm me? Right? It's an easy question to ask. So worrying about things, again, goes back to this negative thinking. Worrying about things, not going to help, right? Because when I worry about it, what does it do? Just brings up all the times that I have failed. Or all the times everything else has failed. So one of the things is I'm looking at flats at the moment, and I I need to move, and so I'm looking at some flats, and I like this particular flats, and they're new builds, and so I mean I like them because nobody's lived there, and it's nice and it's clean, all of that, and then I get some people, family telling me, oh, but you haven't heard all the horror stories about new new flats or new builds or whatever, and I was just thinking about it. Do I think for myself, or do I you know, worry about what others are saying? Because at some point you have to go with your gut feel too. Yeah. And then just going back to this whole aspect of, is it going to help me or is it going to harm me? Um, Realizing that that's where I have control, right? I may not have control over the exam questions. I may not have control over the interview and what the interviewer is going to think of me. I'm not going to have control over somebody's health or even, but what I will have control over is my thinking, is what I'm choosing to think about. And so there, it's like I have control, I have responsibility, I can choose. Everything else I may not have a choice in. And so sometimes it's really good in the midst of resilience, there's some things that I have control over, some things that I have power over. And so really being aware, what does it feel when I'm not resilient? And it is so easy to crack. You talked about not quitting, but it's very easy to crack. It's like if we look at the world today, mental illness is one of the most common and growing illness. And the reason is that people are not able to manage with all the stress and the anxiety. And these little stresses build up to build big things. And so I need to be able to be aware of what I am going through. And remembering there is nothing wrong with asking for help. If I feel I am not able to manage myself, it's absolutely okay to ask for help, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's doctors, whether it's counselors, whatever it is, because our mental health is the most important thing. If I'm mentally unwell, I don't even have the power to be able to choose. I don't even have the power to be able to have clarity as to what I need to do, right? So one of the signs about someone who's not able to be resilient is they're so confused, right? So now let me bring a spiritual angle here. How many of you here in the audience here have done the meditation course, Raj Yoga meditation course? Okay. So one of the things that we talk about in that meditation, well, there's two or three things that I want to bring up is karma. We talked about the law of karma, and we said that, it's come here. It's whatever the adversity is, whatever the storm is, whatever the challenge is, it's here. It's to teach me something. And so what is my outlook towards it? I can see it as a game, right? And if we think about children playing football or children playing ball games, they just enjoy and they have fun and they laugh and there is joy. And of course, when they become older and they're playing the same sport, it becomes so competitive and that fun goes out of it. But so it's going back is what is my outlook to that adversity? In a sense, creating a little bit of separation between myself and that situation. If we are in the thick of it all the time, we can't see clearly. It's all, think about it. It's like, say there's four, I don't want to use Hindi words because that's what came to my mind, but say there is a commotion or an accident or something that's happened and you're right there in the middle of it, you will only see certain bits, right? But if you stand back and maybe walk back about 10, 20 steps, and then you're looking in, you will see more of it and you will see a bigger picture. And so when we are stuck in it and our mind is stuck in it, we don't see the bigger picture. And so when I distance myself from that situation in my mind, physically it is what it is, but in my mind, I just take a few steps back, then it's like it gives me space to breathe. It gives me space to see clearly. And then I can see what is it that I need to do now. But stuck in it, I'm not even sure, going back to that question, is this going to help me or is this going to harm me? I can't even answer that question because I just don't know. And so in that detachment, then I'm able to see things a little bit like a game. And how am I going to navigate through this? But it takes energy, right? It does take determination. It's like the easy thing is to just be stuck in the mud. The easy thing is to be stuck in that storm. But the thing that needs strength and determination is to say, I move out. Just detach myself a bit. where am I going to get the strength from? Where am I going to get the strength from? Within, absolutely within. And so if I am creating those thoughts of gratitude, if I am actually, and what you call, if I am focusing and creating thoughts of seeing this, what is the benefit in this situation, I am getting that strength internally, absolutely. But the other way we get strength is by connecting with the source. And in today's world, just I know you will have heard this example so many times, but it is just so apt. Do you charge a battery by connecting to another battery? Do you charge a mobile by connecting to another mobile? Much more clearer question. You never do. You cannot charge a mobile by connecting to another mobile. Yes, you can now, but you're draining the other mobile. Absolutely. So you're charging yourself, but you're draining the other person, right? And I'm absolutely agree that spending time with friends, spending time with family, because we are social beings, that is absolutely key to resilience. Resilience is not that I can deal with everything by myself. Talking about it, being with others who are going to help you. Yeah, not people who are going to say, yeah, that's really bad, that's awful, poor you, poor you. Not that, but people who are going to help you see a different perspective. That, it's really important. So internally, yes, spending time in good company, yes, and spending time with that highest energy, the source, the energy, God, divine, universe, whatever name that you feel comfortable with. One of the things I always think about in terms of um, that highest being is like, how do we feel, right? The weather's changed. Everyone, just September came and it just got cold and wet and it's getting dark, right? What are we missing? Sunlight, sunshine, right? And we know for the next few months now, this is what it's going to be, right? So how do we feel when we have the warmth of the sun and the light of the sun? How do we feel when we're in the sunshine? Happy. We feel good, right? We feel the warmth, we feel the light, we feel the joy, right? And so that highest being is that spiritual sunshine. And just that highest energy. And I think about it sometimes when I'm meditating, and maybe we'll do that, is just think about this energy, that spiritual energy, which is just like the sun. And I, the spiritual being, am absorbing it. I'm just absorbing it, and empowering myself, because that is what is also going to give me the power to be able to be clear, the clarity, and then to be able to make the right choice and the power to make the right choice, right? Sometimes we know this is not good for me, right? Think about those addictions we may have at that time because emotionally we're not feeling great, right? So whatever it is that people go for, but we know it's not good for us, but do we have the power to stop ourselves? Not always, right? And so that power comes when we connect with that highest being and just empower, because the soul, the spirit, the energy that we are is drained. And this is another reason why we're not able to be resilient, because we don't have that inner strength. anymore. So we know what it means not to, what it feels like when we're not resilient. We know what it feels like when someone is resilient. And what are some of these things that we can do to move from one to the other? What did we talk about? We talked about being not sort of saying, why me? Just really not why me, just accepting, yes, stuff happens to everyone, not just me. You all thought about right at the beginning some of the things that have situations, crises, storms, adversities, whatever that have come in your life, but it happens to everyone in different ways, just does, because this is the time where we just have to clean it all out. Secondly, this whole thing about changing my perspective. And what helps me to change my perspective is to be grateful for all the things that I have. And thirdly, ask myself the question, is this going to help me or is this going to harm me? Whatever it is I'm thinking, I'm doing, because I have the power, and I get the power through meditation, through contemplation, through other things. And I'm going to mention one more thing, but getting that then helps me to decide what it is, make a difference, make a difference. And if it's going to harm me, really, why should I do it? I need to just get out of the storm. It's like if you are in the storm, in the sea, and if whatever maneuvers you may need to make with the boat, if they're going to be harmful for the boat and the people on the boat, are you going to make them? No, right? And you will do whatever it is the right thing to do to keep the boat upright and well. And so the same for ourselves, we sort of don't think about it as in how much harm I may be doing to myself. But ask myself. And then the last thing I'd say is also think about the things that bring you joy and happiness, right? Whether it's, cooking a meal or spending time with friends or playing some kind of sports or whatever it is, they're painting, singing, dancing, whatever it is that is for you. Think about some of those things that make you happy when you do those. Do you all know the things that make you happy? You don't? But some of the things that bring joy to you, right? Yeah. It's like we forget, we just get into a routine, don't we? So what are some of the things that you do that make you happy? That bring you joy? That just make you, it doesn't have to be with others. It's just something that you do. It could be knitting. I know many people who enjoy knitting nowadays. Right? So finding the small pleasures in life and doing something every day that makes you happy. Because we become machines of doing and just keep on doing and doing and doing the next thing on the list, the next thing on the list. But are we doing things that make us happy? Because when we are in that state of happiness, that is also something that makes us, stronger within. One of you talked about internally creating and generating that power internally. If you're happy, if you've done things that make you happy, you're more likely to be resilient and take things lightly, right? People who take, it may be the same adversity, but someone takes it so seriously and someone takes it very lightly, right? The person who takes it lightly is able to cope better. With one who takes it seriously, one of the other signs of someone who is not resilient is it affects their health. And so you know we need to look after our health too. These bodies are precious. Whatever is going on in my mind is affecting my body. Okay, enough. I've said enough. Any questions, any thoughts? So you remember your challenge for the rest of this year? Yeah, 10 things, at least 10 things. If, 5 to 10 things, but let's keep it as 10. It doesn't take long. It will take you 1 minute. Better to think about those things than look at your mobile and see what the latest whatever is. Yeah? So 10 things before you go. How much better will your sleep be if you're thinking about things you're grateful for? When we look at the mobiles, a lot of the time you're thinking and comparing, oh, they're on holiday, oh, I'm not there, or I'm missing out, or whatever it is. Okay, so any thoughts, any questions? Maybe you've also got some ideas. There's a mic coming to you.
What if someone struggles? Hello? What if someone struggles with recognizing what they're grateful for and they're just fixated on the negative things in life? Are you there? What would you advise them?
So one of the things I'd say is, first of all, I can't change anyone. So if it's me, it really goes back to me, then I'd just say is just really think about it. Write down, do 1, do 2, do 3. Just think about them. And, even simple things like these legs are working, these eyes can see, these hands can move. Start off with that. And what you start noticing when you start doing this every day is you're not going to think about them at the end of the day. You'll start thinking about them as you're going through the day. But you said you've done it, right? You can't change anyone. They have to see. And maybe to create a game with them or something like that. Or remind them. You had a question. Do you want to, Mike? Just take the mic so they can hear it online.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be resilient in between the chaos. But when a particular incident happens, so like most of us say that we are all emotional beings. So when a particular incident happens, it affects me emotionally, and my emotions are so extreme high at that moment. Even when my mind says I have to be resilient and I have to accept it, my emotions are overpowering, where even my thoughts are not helping me to go forward at that moment. Yeah. So during those moments, what can I do?
So I'll talk about what I do, because I think I resonate with what you're saying, and I have been in situations where, it's like something's happened and you suddenly have a burst of like kind of thing. And what I've done that has helped me is just to sit down quietly and really not think about it. Because if the emotion is in thinking about it. And so 2 things. One is not to think about it. And secondly, detaching as if it's happening to someone else. And actually there's a third aspect to it is accept that that's how I'm feeling, right? Accept that I may be angry, I may be disappointed, I may be hurt, I may be sad, but know that it's just an emotion and it will pass. So,
Is
you
it-
know, when you talk about accepting, I found that very useful. Just, I acknowledge that that's how I'm feeling.
Is it okay for me to allow myself to be in that emotions for some time
But
until
that's the
it
thing.
gets out?
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can overindulge and be in that for a long period of time, and that's not helpful, right? So it's like, accept, maybe even just write it down and say, yeah, that's how I'm feeling. It's on the paper. I don't need to feel it all the time, but I'm disappointed, or I'm sad, or I'm upset, or I'm angry, or annoyed, or whatever it is.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
But if I stay in the soup for too long, it's harder to swim out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. No? Any thoughts? Any comments? You've taken something for yourself today? Okay. It's always good to take one thing from every kind of event you attend. Otherwise, trying to remember everything will just become a blur. But take one thing that you may want to practice and bring into your life. That's important. Okay, so shall we do a little meditation? So when we do meditation, try and have your feet on the floor, your back straight. And the reason we do this is we want to be alert. When meditation is not about relaxing and then falling asleep and dozing off or going on a daydream, that's not what meditation is. Meditation is about, remember we say thinking, I am choosing what I'm thinking. Is it going to hurt me or is it going to help me? So let me choose something that will help me. And so I am now directing my thoughts. I am thinking and I am consciously choosing my thoughts. And that then brings an experience. Yeah. Okay. So, and if you can, keep your eyes open, maybe look at the flowers, maybe look at the picture, or just maybe just a spot in front of you. Again, life, we go through life with our eyes open. So that's what it is. Okay. So I will share some thoughts, and it's like a meditation commentary, and maybe repeat that in your mind and go on the journey. So I will do a visualization. So let's relax our body first. So sitting comfortably on the chair, take a deep breath in and out, becoming aware of your breath as you take that deep breath in and the air going all the way to the bottom of your lungs, and gently releasing. And as I bring my focus to my breathing, my body automatically relaxes and my mind relaxes too. So once again, let me take that deep breath in and out. And now I bring my attention to myself, the spiritual being that is within this body. So this body of mine is the physical body, and within this, I, the spiritual being, lives. And I am a point of light, point of energy, like a star, and I sit behind his eyes in the middle of the forehead. And I am light. And as I'm bringing my attention to myself as being light, feels nice. I feel very detached from any external heaviness. All I am is a being of light. As I do bring that awareness, let me also create the awareness that this body of mine is made of light. As I create that thought that the whole body is light, just imagine it shimmering, sparkling, just light. And as the body of light, I can fly, and I'm gently rising out of this room above the building. I am not pulled by gravity anymore. I am free, and I rise above, the clouds. And in fact, I lay down on the clouds, these beautiful white fluffy clouds, and my body of light, and I am light. And I lie down on those clouds, looking up at the sun, feeling the warmth and the light of the sun on me, feeling free, feeling that physical sun that I seen above me is actually the spiritual sun, the highest being, the being of light, the divine being. And I feel the rays of love and peace and power flowing from that being to me. I am loved, cared for. I am empowered, and in this feeling, just know that everything is okay, and everything will be okay. Knowing that I can come and connect whenever I wish, I slowly return back to this physical plane, aware that I, the spiritual being, I'm in this physical body, that I carry that love, that peace, and the power within me. I feel light, feel good, and I feel warm. I, a spiritual being, am a being of peace.
So, and one of the things she was saying that when he needs to think through, he just goes for walks. And I was there for a few days in Edinburgh, and we did do a lot of walking. So it's a nice way of airing out your thoughts and allowing the fresh thoughts to come in. And remember the challenge from now until end of December, then it becomes a habit. Then you can continue for a lifetime. It's something I know Sister Jayanti always is encouraging us to do that, as well as really learning to pause on the hour and just making sure that even if you have spent 1 hour doing nothing or nothing worthwhile, then you correct that very easily. So thank you, Parul, and we hope to see you again very soon. And our talk next Tuesday is about think less, think right, and feel right, feel light. And the speaker is Suparna. And coming, next Thursday, just a bit of advance notice, 18th and 19th, which is, I assume it's Wednesday and Thursday. And this is going to be an in-house event, positive thinking. So mostly we've been running them on Saturdays, but there has been request of doing it during the week. So that's from 5:30 to 7 p.m., Wednesdays and Thursdays. So part 1 and part 2. So both are important. You're welcome to join us for that. And as you're aware, every Monday and Thursday we have meditation, reflective meditation, both in person and online from 7 to 7:30. And on Sundays, it's at 10 a.m. in the morning, and that's just online because Sundays we're not open here. And also we have a quiet room. For those of you visiting for the first time, I've seen some new faces this time. So you're welcome to come and use the quiet room anytime during your lunch break, before going to work. We're open from 10 a.m. onwards, Mondays to Saturdays. And for those of you who haven't subscribed for newsletters, we have weekly lecture notices and also monthly newsletters and thought for the day. You know, sometimes when we have a technical hitch and one of the days the thought for today doesn't come, then we start receiving emails, what's happening? So it is really valued very much. So if you haven't subscribed, you're free to do that. And also the YouTube channel. So these talks that are recorded and shared on Tuesday are there for you to revisit or share with anybody you wish to. Okay, and yes, you've been sharing a lot about your mom. I know her personally. I knew her personally, and very sweet, very incognito, but very creative and hardworking, and a beautiful chef. A lot of good things, like we've been remembering her biscuits and enchiladas and kimchi and whatnot. So, yeah. And also, Dia just reminded me that there is a youth retreat happening, a weekend retreat happening at a retreat center in Worthing, end of this month, 27 to 29th. And that's for 18 years to 35 years of age. If you're interested in going there, so can speak to the aunt at reception. And the shop will be open for a few minutes. And our project for the week is Being Yourself. Yeah, so by Mike George. And there are various other books and CDs, posters. I think we'll run out on CDs. We've taken them out. But there's various other things that will be helpful for you. So do go and browse there. Okay. And safe journey home. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely to meet you all. To all of you too.